actually, which is what do you enjoy most about your career? And then on the other side, what do you find most challenging about it?
There's a couple of different things. Like what's cool about this kind of a career that you always keep learning new stuff. So there's always new stuff. So the joke that I tell people is like, whatever I know today will be, half of it will be obsolete in 5 years. I would just like to know which half. But so if you like kind of learning new things and doing new things, this is perfect stuff because things change constantly. And sort of this is kind of a joke, but it's not really a joke. When you ask people what it's like to work at Google compared to another company, it says, well, at the regular job, you come in, you don't know what you're doing. After 6 months, you learn a bit. After 1 year, you know pretty well what you're doing. At Google, after 6 months, you don't know what you're doing. After 1 year, you don't know what you're doing. After 2 years, you don't know what you're doing, and then you get used to it. And the reason is, and it's true because things change constantly, and there's so much stuff happening. And a lot of the thing about Google is the scale of the systems that Google builds is like way, 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 way beyond anything that I've worked on anywhere else. So it's kind of scary at times, but I remember, and I was doing some testing early on my Google career. I had some job that would run like every hour to run some tests, verify that things work. And I had a mistake in some script where I forgot to delete the log files. So after 3 months, I get an email that I used up my disk quota. I used 100 terabytes. Right, so this was just me running some stupid little test. So you can imagine, think what kind of scale this is. If you need to run some test that requires 100 computers, okay, no problem. And your coworker can do the same. And there are some actually interesting videos on YouTube about Google's data centers. I got to visit Google's data center in Iowa, which is, I think at the moment, it's the largest data center in the world, unless they build another one that's bigger. But it's kind of scary because you go into this room that, it's like a matrix. You just see computers, this huge, like football-sized room, and then you go through a door and there's another one, and another one. So there's a video on YouTube that gives you a tour of one of the data centers, so you can get a feeling of that. So what I like is the new stuff that you can learn. But the other thing that I like, I've been very lucky that I've worked with very interesting people. So you can say, well, you work with smart people. Well, everybody's smart in some way or another. What you find is you work with people kind of with different backgrounds and different interests. And some of them have really deep interests into stuff. And I've met some like computer science gods, like, Brian Kernighan works for Google. So I sat with him at breakfast, which is kind of cool. For example. And anyway, so in a number of my jobs, I still keep in touch with some of the people who we work together, mostly because we had these lunch conversations that were like fantastic. And they would go off all kinds of directions, and because people have different interests, and everybody's kind of, I don't want to say respectful, but it was just kind of fun. So we used to have conversations where like somebody would take a point and take a position, and somebody else would take just the opposite point, just so we could argue. Not that we believed it or anything, but just to make things interesting. So I've been lucky that I've worked with lots of really kind of cool people. And even, Google is especially nice. Google tries to be very nice to its employees, as opposed to some other companies I've heard about. Compared to the companies I work for, they usually are pretty good. Google is extra good. So. What I don't like is too many meetings sometimes. So a lot of the work that we do, it requires concentration for a long period of time. So especially, when you're debugging a problem, and it's I have days where I have a meeting every half an hour. So it's like, it's half an hour. It's not enough time to get into something. So I became a morning person because of this. Because nobody's in the office or nobody bothers you like before 10 o'clock.
And that's when you get all the work done, and then you get
some work done that way and stuff. The other interesting thing about solving problems is that sometimes if you sleep on something, it becomes very obvious. So sometimes you can spend a day beating your head against something, or more than a day, and then you go and do something else, take a walk, and then all of a sudden things pop in your head.
Make sure to check out the My Career tab on the BC Navigator app, where you can track your career progress based on the amount of credits you've earned, stay updated on upcoming events from the Magner Center, and watch our videos for insight and advice on your career field.